PJ passed, we didn't really get the opportunity to give him the funeral we wanted to give him. So I'd like to take this opportunity to remember his life and who he really was, which was a guy who meant so much to so many people. Born on the 2nd of May 1982, PJ, he was a guy who wore many hats, and one of the hats he wore was the hat of little mama's baby. His mother loved him. She did absolutely everything for him, including pushing him into Irish dancing, where he became like a world champion Irish dancer. I think they had T-shirts that said PJ Smith dancing his way to Dublin, and they had this that little green kilt little outfit he had. They had that on display at his house permanently. I first met PJ at nursery school, and obviously I'm too young to remember that. But even back then, there was a sense of all these kids like PJ weaving themselves into what would become the world. I met him again, I think when we was about 8 years old at the Holyrood Club, and this was a place where all our plastic paddy parents would go, pretend to be Irish and have a jig and get drunk. And all the kids would just play in the hall. And I remember he wanted to play on my Mario 3 Game Watch, and I told him to get lost. He went to Holyrood School in North Watford, which was kind of weird because I went to St Anthony's, which was right across the road from his house. But it wasn't until secondary school that we became friends. So this is St Joan of Arc, where I met PJ in year 7, and he had kind of like a rep for being a naughty kid. And we became friends because we was both into rave music and we wanted to be part of something cool, as you know, most kids do.
I remember the first time I spoke to PJ at Joan of Arc School, and Stay Now was #1 in the charts, and he was bombed that it was such a great track.
I met him on the first day of secondary school. He was my guy next to me. Just me and him knocking around together every lunch, every break, with just me and PJ. We were just like always together, outside of school, inside of school.
So this is where the majority of our youth was spent. Not that bad of a place, really. Plenty of green, plenty of space. Shooting basketballs, spraying graffiti, getting into all kinds of harmless mischief. Hasn't changed all that much, I don't think. I mean, a few more gigantic flats, but pretty much everywhere is like that now. So this is 125 Croxley View, where PJ lived most of his life with his folks.
I remember the many happy years we spent sat in his bedroom, listening to tracks, just chilling out, playing PlayStation, bashing out games on Tekken.
You win.
Throughout his life, despite being a very humble guy, wherever he went, anywhere in Watford, there would always be someone popping out who know him. There's always someone jumping out, PJ, you know. And PJ, he was a pioneer of the record bag, the MA2 jacket. So we started hanging out, record shopping. We were going to raves at the Sanctuary at the wee age of 13.
Well, I first met PJ with Gareth's brother, Andrew, because they came to Evolution once. It was my first time, and I didn't really think much of him. He was just one of Andrew's friends. And then we used to bump into each other all the time when I was meeting up with Andrew. And he was always the same. Always a nice, funny, nice little bloke.
Meeting up and then deciding going to under 18 raves, 16 to 18 raves, Evolution, all that type of jazz. Getting back in the morning, quietly creeping into his mum's house on a night out.
And a running theme of that was, because he had such a baby face, we never got him through the front door. So, but in a mad way, it kind of made it better because we got into so many mad scrapes jumping the fence. I mean, with PJ, you could always rely on ending up in some crazy scenario.
He had a wicked laugh. He would laugh a lot, even in crazy situations, and we'd often find ourselves in pretty fucking shady situations. Yeah, he was down to earth and knew how to laugh at things.
We went on a holiday with Lewis Green in Barcelona, and it was the stupidest day. We ended up getting stuck in a theme park somewhere, and we ended up getting some taxi that cost a fortune to get back into Barcelona. And when we got back, Adam Freeland was playing at Razzmatazz, and we went there, and it was just like the most epic night ever. And it's just like, whenever he was there, everything was better. Like, any picture of me that he's in, I'm smiling. Any other picture, I'm not. And we ended up just floating in the sea just outside of Barcelona watching the sun come up. And it's one of the moments you think, I wish there was 100 more of this. PJ also wore the hat of DJ. Music was a part of his soul. And when he learned to DJ, man, he was beautiful. He had a dynamite scratch. He had an ear for a good mix. And our entire youth was spent just hanging out, smoking dope, playing records.
He got me very much into DJ. I was from a pretty much poor family. He had decks, I didn't have decks. So I used to go around his house, practice on his decks. He'd show me how to do stuff. I'd do stuff. And then I eventually had the money to get my own decks. He'd come around and we'd work up with the old stereo systems, connect him with the old school stuff.
And he took it up a notch. He would religiously tune into like Jumpin' Jack Frost, Patrick Forge, Giles Peterson, Fabio and Groove Rider. And he became like a connoisseur of more sophisticated dance music. And he schooled me on like Latin-influenced drum and bass, which led to broken beat, jazz, Detroit house, hip-hop, you name it.
That Brazilian drum and bass that came in, I remember that. PJ was really into that. He had all the tracks.
All right, so these flats here, that is the former site of a building called Gade House, where it used to be Vibe FM. And that's where PJ had his radio show. And his show was awesome. And he just like, he always had the records that no one else had. And I'll never forget, I played my show and I was living in Dalston at the time. And just like driving all the way back to Dalston, like listening to him play records, you know, just like the tracks that only he had. And I remember just like getting into East London, just hearing it start and fade out. And yeah, just like tracks like Lemon Jelly, Stay With You, that was one. And Galaxy to Galaxy, High Tech Jazz, I remember that as well. Venues around London, like Camden Palace, Plastic People, The End, SE1, Fabric, Jazz Cafe. We saw the musical landscape evolve and we saw entire genres come and go.
Back in the early 2000s, we were both into drum and bass, Bookham, Pascal, yeah, just laid back jazz, drum and bass, and progression sessions we used to go a lot to. We met Bookham a couple of times, even shook his hand, bit of a legend.
Like, there were times as well where we were the last people to be let in the club, and they were lucky to have us there, to be honest with you. He had this dance he would do as well. When he was proper feeling it, it'd be like, the dude knew how to party. The dude knew how to party. PJ also wore the hat of the people's intellectual, and I cannot emphasize enough how culturally astute the guy was. Music was just the jump off for him to dive into different cultures that surrounded it. Peach could hang out, he could hang out with the jazz cats, the ravers, the blacks, the Latinos, you know, the Sherpas of Tibet, and he'd have something to talk about with all of them. And I know people who have only ever met him once, and they would always ask me, how's your friend doing? Because he just had this unique charisma about him. That was just magnetic. There was nothing in pop culture that he wouldn't have a take on, and any comedian's joke or movie or game reference or whatever, he knew it like no one else I will ever know.
Yeah, I thought Peter was well versed in topics. We're quite happy to be talking about different subjects, completely random, wouldn't really care what you're talking about, would kind of have a view and have an opinion on pretty much anything you're speaking about.
He was an intelligent man. He was an intelligent person. He could talk, and he could talk the talk. Whether that was Islam or politics or films or whatever, he could do it.
But this was a big part of his special charm that he had. He was very much like a man of the people.
Here we go. Great day out. Enjoying the ethnic diversity in West Watford. Yes, boss man, what are you saying? Can I get a double deal, please? Yeah, I'll come back 2 seconds.
And like, we would joke that he was in line to be the mayor of West Watford, but everyone loved him because he was a lovely guy he would never write anyone off, and you'd see him around all kinds of people. Now, he also wore the hat of International Ladies Man.
Why don't you answer? I've been suspicious of her cheating on me for a while now. But I just see a chance. I just saw the phone light up and it said Peter Smith. Do you want to answer the phone and talk to me? I'll ring you again right now.
From London to Cambodia, whenever he turned on the charm, he could get the ladies. I'll never forget, within a minute of walking into the VIP of Ministry of Sound, he was snogging a chick like it was two snakes trying to swallow each other. Like, he could turn on the charm, you know?
Yeah, come here. Over. COVID is finally over. It's over. No more COVID. Happy COVID Independence Day. It's done.
So, one of my favourite nights out with PJ, going to watch the Amir Khan Kell Brook fight. He fell over in some bin bags and couldn't get back up again. He came down and was turned away at the door. And then miraculously, after the fight, we wanted to carry on. So we walked to this club, and somehow, after even more drinking, we got him in the club. From that moment forward, he was just the light and soul of the party. I think he had his arm around some beautiful woman within 2 minutes of arriving. He was one of the most legendary people in our friendship group. He was just a great guy.
Sadly, the world eventually dealt P some bad cards, and losing his mother really devastated him. When the council finally forced him to leave his house, the one he grew up in, and he left all his records behind, that was a moment where I kind of felt we lost him, you know, we lost the PJ we knew. And it was a blow he never really came back from. He found life quite hard going it alone.
We reconnected a few years ago, and because we both live in the same place, and he was reaching out for a friend, and I was happy to be there for him, and we just got on really well. In a nutshell, he made me laugh, I made him laugh. That's what you want in friends, isn't it?
Despite that, he kept going, and that's something I truly admired about him, is that he could graft. You know, despite being dealt a bad hand, he stayed in the game, and I honestly believed that he was unstoppable. But the demons got him. The demons got him. PJ died on the 17th of June, 2005, alone at his home in West Watford. So many of his friends tried so hard to help him find a path through it, be that through church groups, support groups. I even got him working on his fitness at one point. Comeback kid.
Come on, do it for the charity, do it for St Joe's Spastics. Joe Morris Spastics.
I just want to say just such a huge thanks to everyone that was there to hold his back and look out for him through that. I just cannot thank you enough. In our group, like he was a glue that kept us all together. He was the best of us in many ways, and no matter how many silly quarrels we'd have, everyone would always be asking, what's going on with Peach? And what's so sad is that he would talk about feeling alone, but now there's so many people that miss him.
PJ was an integral part of my growing up. From year 7 to 19 years old, it was just me and him, you know? I love that guy.
The impact he had on me was just the fact that he thought I was so nice, and when you're in a bad place and someone rates you, you want to hang around with them, and he meant the world to me, to be completely honest. And I think I was there for him as well, and we had a few things in common, but we always had a laugh when we got together, and he could be himself, and we had many deep chats with each other, but it was always funny. It wasn't ever like serious or, you know, made you feel on edge. It was just a nice bloke who was generally humble. He had a lot to say for himself. He knew a lot. He knew a lot of things. He was very clued up. He was just an all-round nice, humble person. And I was glad to be his friend.
PJ wore the hat of my brother. He was a little brother to me. And what hurts a lot is that even though we understood each other, we left things without saying what we really meant. And, you know, people say live every day like it's your last, but you can't go through life like that. We have to hold on to the belief that we're going to see each other again someday. Now, there was one thing he said to me one time when I was having an anxiety attack, and I spoke to him, and he said this. He said, and I always hold on to it, he said, "It's just a storm cloud, don't worry about it, they pass." Sadly, Peach dying is something that isn't going to pass, and it's something we're going to have to learn to live with.
He basically made you feel good about yourself. And even if he didn't feel good about himself, I think he put it onto other people and made them feel better about themselves. And basically, the world is a worse off place without him, I think, and I will generally miss him.
PJ was a lovely soul. He got some bad cards. I'll see him on the flip side.
If our youth was all about us not getting in the gates, I'm sure he's getting the VIP treatment. So, Pete, we love you, we miss you forever. Never be another, you were my brother.